In discussions about religion and politics, some argue that religion has been the main cause of war throughout human history. Many people look at the Crusades, where Pope Urban called for an armed assault on the Seljuk Turks to reclaim the Holy Land in Jerusalem. We are often told that it was Christianity that caused the Crusades, where the Knights Templar and the Crusaders marched across Europe and slaughtered hundreds of thousands of Muslims in the name of God. At a surface level, you may think that religion and Christianity was the sole cause of this, but there is more to the story than that. What if I told you that Jesus, the most important figure in Christianity, would have been opposed to such a religious war? What if the Crusades was more about survival, power, and politics, and not the teachings of Jesus and Christianity? After all, Jesus did say, "You shall not murder," and the Crusaders clearly did this on a mass scale. The purpose of this video is to look at the Crusades, why they happened, and why Jesus of Nazareth would have opposed it. Before deciding whether Jesus would have opposed the Crusades, let's begin by understanding what the Crusades were. The Crusades were a series of religious wars that were initiated by the Latin Church against the Seljuk Turks. In the year 1095, the head of the Latin Church, Pope Urban II, proclaimed the First Crusade at the Council of Clermont. He encouraged military support for the Byzantine Emperor Alexios I against the Seljuk Turks, who feared an invasion into Constantinople. The Seljuk Turks were expanding into modern-day Turkey and were controlling the lands that were originally held by the Byzantine Empire. By this time, the Western Church had split from the Eastern Church in 1054, an event known as the Great Schism. By this time, there was an Eastern Roman Empire, commonly known as the Byzantine Empire, and the Holy Roman Empire, which was dominated by the Western Church. While there was a disunity between the two groups, they both held similar interests, and one of them was to defend themselves against the growing Seljuk Turks. This is because the Seljuk Turks were a threat to their power, and they had a different set of beliefs. They were Islamic and saw religion, culture, and the world very differently to the Christians in the West. Alexios I from the Byzantine Empire asked the Pope and the West for mercenaries to help deal with the threat of the Seljuk Turks. After reading Alexios' request, Pope Urban said that the West should carry aid promptly to those Christians, meaning the Byzantines in the East, and destroy that vile race, referring to the Seljuk Turks, from the lands of our friends. I say this to those who are present, it means also for those who are absent. Moreover, Christ commands it. Pope Urban, using Christ as his motivator, was telling the Council of Clermont that it is the will of God to commit such acts. After all, the Crusaders would yell Deus Vult afterwards, translating to God wills it. The Crusades continued until its end in 1291, with the Crusade city of Acre falling to the Muslims. There are estimations of 1 million to 5 million people dying over the campaigns. It is proclamations and claims like this which have seemed to convince a lot of people that Christianity was solely behind the Crusades. The argument almost suggests that if Christianity was not there, the Crusades may not have happened. But there are a lot of problems with this claim because Christian scripture would not justify such acts. First of all, how would the Pope know whether Christ would command a holy war on Muslims in the East? What's the basis for this claim? Jesus taught a message of love and non-violence. He urged his followers to love their enemies and to turn the other cheek when faced with violence. He also explicitly forbade the use of force to spread the faith. The Crusaders, on the other hand, employed brutal tactics and committed atrocities in the name of Christianity, which seems to be very different to the message of Jesus. Jesus emphasized the importance of humility and to serve others. He taught that the greatest among us were those who serve God, meaning that he would be against the kind of hate and violence that the Crusaders inflicted upon the Muslims. The fact that there's a clear distinction from the teachings of the New Testament and the deeds of the Crusaders shows that other factors like politics and the need to survive are being mixed in with Christianity. Lastly, Jesus' message of love and compassion for all, regardless of their religion, would have been at odds with the Crusaders' narrow-minded, exclusive attitude towards non-Christians. Jesus himself was confronted by religious leaders of his time, like the Pharisees, and yet he always responded with compassion and understanding. While Jesus did say that he was the way, the truth, and the life, and that no one would come to the Father except through him, he would have never supported the Crusades. Nevertheless, many people in the 21st century think that it was Christianity which was responsible for the Crusades, and it's often easy to falsely categorize Jesus and Christianity in this way. While the Crusaders may have believed that they were acting in the name of Christianity, their actions were fundamentally at odds with the teachings of Jesus. The message of love, non-violence, humility, and service to others that Jesus really advocated for totally contradicts the violence and aggression of the Crusades. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider subscribing and liking the video for more content like this.